Hospital Porter's Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order. Welcome to Her Panwo TV. A few weeks ago I made a video called Disclosure Petition II. There's a link in the description box so you can watch it. And as the title suggests, it is about the Disclosure Petition II from the Paradigm Research Group. What it is, right, this is the work of a man called Stephen Bassett, who's head of the Paradigm Research Group, and I have actually spoken about Stephen before at the Leeds Exopolitics events and several other articles and films. As I said, if you go to the description box, there's links to those as well. Now, what Stephen Bassett has been doing, he's been setting up petitions under the We the People scheme. Now, We the People scheme is something where you go to the White House website and you start a petition, and according to the rules, if you get enough signatures, the White House has to produce an official response. Now, this is something invented by the Obama administration. So basically, the Paradigm Research Group has been taking advantage of this new scheme to try and get the government to make an official response on UFOs, which it hasn't done for many, many years. And guess what? The first disclosure petition achieved its goal. And here it is. It managed to get this admission from the White House. The Obama administration has formally stated, here we are, the US government has no evidence that any life exists outside our planet or that an extraterrestrial presence has contacted or engaged any member of the human race. Now, that may sound just a quite trivial thing to say. It's just one sentence, just a handful of words. But it really is a remarkable achievement because this is basically the first official statement that the US government has given on the subject of UFOs for many, many years. And we're talking going back to, Project Blue Book or whatever. And the Condon Report and things like that. The reason this is so significant is because Stephen Bassett knows, thanks to a friend of his in Canada called Grant Cameron, he knows that it's a lie because he has found out through Cameron that during the Bill Clinton's administration in the 1990s, the Office of Science and Technology Policy, investigating from March 1993 to October 1996, in concert with the billionaire Clinton's friend Lawrence Rockefeller, and they held meetings in which Bill Clinton's wife, Hillary Clinton, who's now a very, very, very important person in government herself, John Podesta, Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta, Vice President Al Gore, and Governor Bill Richardson. These people held a meeting in which they discussed the subject. And so this basically proves basically that this statement by the White House that was released after Disclosure Petition 1 is a lie. So the next stage, of course, is to go for another petition, because the more they can get, the better. So Stephen Bassett, on a wave of confidence and inspiration, launched Disclosure Petition II. And that was what my video was about. Because in Disclosure Petition II, they needed 25,000 signatures by the end of March. Now, I made the video basically because I was keeping my eye on the signature list, and I realised that it wasn't going up very fast. It was rising very, very slowly indeed, and it didn't seem to have the impetus to get up to its targeted level by the end of the month. And of course, my worst fears were confirmed, because at the end of the month came, the final count of signatures was a mere 6,937, which is nowhere near the target of 25,000. And I thought to myself, oh, poor Stephen, he's put so much into this, and people have lost interest, and he seems to have been let down basically by people who haven't signed it. But actually, I shouldn't have thought that. I should have looked into it first, and now I have looked into it. It seems something else was going on. Look at this page here. Complaints regarding signing of the DP2 at the White House We the People website. What it basically means is some people have been logging on, setting up their account like I did when I signed the petition, and they haven't been able to sign it. And there's probably 100 emails here from people complaining to Stephen and the Paradigm Research Group that they can't sign the damn petition. I'll give you an example here. And once again, I cannot express my extreme level of frustration from trying to sign this petition. What a damn farce. Once again, I've been duped by the We the People website. I've tried to sign it a dozen times, and you've used 4 different email addresses to try and sign it. It gives instructions, but there's no green button, it's a grey one. Let's all pray to God that disclosure will come from the aliens finally showing themselves worldwide. This We the People website is nothing more than a clown's joke and a circus. Hi, I signed into the White House website today and renewed my password. I got your new disclosure petition at the sign petition button, and it's been deactivated, so I couldn't sign the petition. I gather lots of people have had similar problems with the last petition. Why don't you go public to the press about the difficulties there's been in signing these petitions? I always try to sign these petitions, but the last couple of times I have had a difficult time signing into the site. I'm wondering if anyone else is experiencing this. Not able to sign, Steve. Set up an account for the Rockefeller Initiative, but this time getting a password. I've run around and can't get back to sign a petition. Steve, I wasn't able to cast my vote, even though I've tried several times. Still having trouble. I mean, the list goes on, basically. There's probably, like I said, there's about 100 of these. It looks to me like there's been basically this petition has been tampered with to make sure that it doesn't achieve its final count of figures. Now, this was something I could have predicted, actually, and should have predicted. Stephen Bassett, I'm not sure exactly what he feels about this, but he's published these lists of emails he's had from people. Now, I think this is more confirmation, and I think even Stephen will agree with me here that getting disclosure is not going to be as simple as he might have thought, and many other people in the exopolitics movement might think. As I've said before, you look in the description box, there's links to where I've stated publicly, including I was interviewed on a TV show, Rich Planet TV, recently. There's links in the description box to that. Well, I discussed this subject. The thing is, like, Stephen Bassett, he's a good guy, and I respect him, but he's got this idea that if only enough people write in, to the White House, if you only, you go and see your MP, if only you camp outside the president's gate, somehow the government will just say, oh, all right then, we admit it, we know about UFOs, we've known about it all these years. But I mean, just think about the implications of that. You sit in front of the TV, Obama comes on saying, UFOs are real. We've always known it. I'm sorry we didn't tell you, but it's, how can they possibly confess to something like that? And the implications to do with free energy, to do with the fact that, the cultural effects of knowing we're not alone out there, and the awful possibility that the government know about the abductions, and there's even ideas that they've assisted the aliens with the abductions. I mean, are they really going to come out and confess to this? I mean, if you consider the ramifications are far greater than the exopolitics movement in general realises, and I think Stephen Bassett doesn't quite grasp that. However, I would always say go to a video, watch Stephen Bassett speak, because he's a brilliant speaker. And I mean, if this Paradigm Research Group exopolitics website is really fascinating, and I tell you, I mean, if there's anyone who can do it, it's him. If there's anyone who can sort of change my mind and and what I mean is, if listening to Stephen Bassett, I can, even despite everything I've said, I can almost believe it's possible listening to that guy. Stephen Greer, well, you don't hear much about him nowadays, and he's never really impressed me. He's always been a bit of a big head, I think. Richard Dolan and Bryce Zabel are great in terms of the history and the sort of the political analysis of the situation, which I don't quite agree with, but it's still there. I mean, I've read their book AD, After Disclosure. But Stephen Bassett, I think, is the guy who has the kind of passion and the style, who can make you can hit you to his dream. I think his dream's not likely to succeed, but it is always a possibility, and I can't cast that aside. It's so attractive, the idea. It's so enthralling. as I said, you know, what they're gonna do? Are they gonna say, oh, are the government really gonna come on TV? Is Obama really gonna sit there and say, yep, UFOs are real? Free energy is real. We've known about it. I mean, you're talking about before UFOs now. You're talking about Nikola Tesla and Thomas Townsend Brown and these other people. This guy in the 19th centuries, when this conspiracy really began, because there was the guy who could make these balls levitate, you know, these big metal balls. And, you know, it's... are they really going to come out and say, yeah, we knew about it? Sorry, we forgot to tell you. Oh, you know, oh, it slipped our mind. I don't think so. Anyway, there's a Disclosure Petition 3 coming soon. Disclosure Petition 3, nuclear weapons tampering. We the people. This is a specific. This seems to be a specific subject. We the people petition the Obama administration to ask Defense Secretary Parnetta to respond to mounting evidence for nuclear weapons tampering by extraterrestrial craft. This concerns people like Captain Robert Salas, who manned one of these missile bunkers, and UFOs came and they shut them down. There's stories, similar stories, actually coming from Russia for their own missile silos were tampered with. So, like I said, I always sign these because it does raise publicity to the issue. I know it can't succeed. And I know, just, you know, what I've said, I still hold as true what I've said, but it raises publicity. It brings people in. It can do some good in some way. I'm not quite sure yet, but it can do. So, roll on. Disclosure Petition 3, nuclear weapons tampering. Thank you for watching Panwo TV. Hospital Port as pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order.